Thanks for joining us for our Studio Suite webinar. My name is Joel Stoner, and I'm the founder CEO of Alter Media. And today we're going to talk about media asset management in Studio Suite. So, what modules come? Oh, let's back up. This is going to be about 45 to 60 minutes. We are recording this, and it will be posted to our site eventually. You can find all of the, or many of the previous webinars up on our site. There's a webinars button right on the main menu in the middle at the bottom. So if you want to catch up on some of the other ones, that's where you can find them. Not all of them are there yet because we're still editing some of the more recent ones, but you can see some of the earlier ones there. We have been doing webinars on most Thursdays. You can check the schedule on our site. However, this one is going to be the last one for a bit because we've got NAB coming up, and so we're in prep mode for that, and then we'll be coming back from that. So probably realistically going to be another 3 to 4 weeks before we get another webinar going up. Go ahead and ask any questions as they occur to you. You can type them into the little question panel there, and I will either try to answer them in line or at the end. Uh, and this is not intended to be a demo of all of Studio Suite, of course. We're just doing an overview of the media asset management features in Studio Suite. So specifically, that means the library module, the titles module, which is a component of the library module, the disk log, which is also in the library module and also in the titles module, and the FTP functions that are related to those previous three modules. And then there's the attach an FTP tab, which is another kind of asset management that we're going to go over. And quickly, we'll get into the media inventory module, which is where your blank virgin stock, your vault, and not your vault, your blank stuff doesn't have anything on it. So usually, or if you've been to one of my webinars before, you've seen this map of Studio Suite. And usually, I animate it out to kind of describe how everything flows together. But we don't need to do the whole thing here. But I did want to show it because when you think about media assets, um, you probably think just about the audio and video files that you're delivering to your customers, you're receiving from the customers. But as we were kind of designing Studio Suite years ago, we thought that everything that we're working with has an asset, has a potential to have a media asset. So starting at the top, we have a rooms module, and you don't really think of that in relation to media assets. But we think that perhaps there could be blueprints for that, or purchase receipts for the carpet, or wiring diagrams that are related to the room. And so you might want to be able to store any kind of digital file in relation to the record of that room. Same with equipment, maybe a PDF manual, purchase receipt, repair details, things like that. And of course, contacts. You might have a legal agreement or a logo of a client that you need to store in relation to their contact record. Services, well, not so much, but media inventory and materials, sure, maybe purchase receipts for that. And then, oops, I'm supposed to go back a slide. And clients, we talked about that for people, but productions, most of you are familiar that that's a large project, a high level project, that could, all, of course, have its own set of media assets like scripts and budgets and maybe a list of locations that you're going to be working in, and so on. So we want to be able to attach all kinds of files, not just quote media files, to the things that we're working on. And of course, that would flow down into projects, down into events, maybe to tasks, and to the library module, which is where we really think of as managing our media assets. So with that, let's go into Studio Suite. And here we are at the main menu. All look familiar. And I'm going to go to that contact example where we've got our list of clients. I'm going to go into the Media Assets tab. And from here, this is where we would see all of the media assets that are related to a certain client. And we can see that here. And of course, I can jump to any one of these. These three are called the one. The assets are called R123, and I could jump to one of those. That brings me into the library module for that. And we're going to get into this in more detail later. I'm just kind of giving an overview. So I'm going to hit the back button. What I really wanted to start you with was the Attach an FTP tab. And this is where we can see all of those other kinds of assets. I'm going to go to this person here. Who are these people? Here's baby new client. Okay, so let's say we've got some documents that are related to this person. So I'm just going to grab them, and there's a feature that was available in Studio Suite 9, but really kind of brought more to life in Studio Suite 10, which is the ability to just drag and drop stuff from your desktop into Studio Suite. So I'm going to go to here's my demo files folder. So let's say I had just a document. I can drag that in there. We can also drag a number of documents in there. So let's say I want to drag these two video files in there. I can do that. Um, so that's the drag and drop version of it. We can also do things like folders. Let's drag this in here. And when you drag a folder, what happens is when you click on it, it opens that folder. And naturally, in this case, it opened it up off screen for me. Let me try to make that happen. So it happens on screen. So anyway, you can see that. So we can also use these buttons at the top. These are before we had the drag and drop functionality. So the advantage of this one is that it gives you the option to embed the file. So before I explain that, perhaps what I should do is say that when we do those drag and drops or we do a normal link, what it's doing is storing the path to where that file is. So we can see here, it's on my Mac HD in the users folder, in Joel's user folder on my desktop. In demo files, the file there is called button scripter functions. So that's basically storing a pointer to where the file is. I also do have the option to embed the file. Why would I do that? Typically, you don't want to, because the more files you embed in the system, the bigger your file is going to be. And when you make your backups, that's going to get into a huge thing. So if I embed it or insert it, that's taking up space in the database. And you might want to do that for things like menus, restaurant menus, so everybody's got access to it everywhere. Or it's also great for versioning. So if you're working on a script and you want to, put in 5 different versions and label them such that you could always revert and see back to, what was the version 1. Another difference is when I click on this file here, button scripter versions RTF, it's just going to open up that document for me directly. When I click on a file that is embedded, I have to export it out to the desktop so I can open it because it's in the database right now. I can't open it because it's in the database. So I'm going to export it, and I have to save where it's going to be. I'm going to call that webinar export. I'm going to put it in my desktop right here. There it is. Save that. And we just saw that appear right here. And so now if I open that up, there is that document right there. There's a document. So there's a difference between embedding and attaching. Typically, you're going to want to do an attach or link rather than an embed. Be very careful when you do the embed. So you can do a sound, you can do a picture, you can do a QuickTime. And one of the neat things is this proxy in URL. So if we have a video file that we've posted up to YouTube, it's always impossible to type and talk at the same time. www. Looks like my computer's going slow. I've got too many apps running. So let's pretend I've posted a video up there. And so that's going to come in as a website link. So if I click on it, it's going to go up to that. And of course, it opened it off screen over here. So there is the YouTube window that opened up. I just have to take my word on that. So you can, any file, and those URLs can also be on servers within your network. So URLs work that way. So you can have a URL to a file, which makes it work with video proxies. And then there's the FTP option. And I'm going to actually show that at a later segment in our little tour here. One thing I do want to show you is the security aspects of this. So let's suppose that this file right here was a top secret script that I didn't want anybody to be able to have access to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it limited. I'm going to click on this little item right here, and I only want some high-level people in my facility to be able to access this, those folks. So now only people with these privilege sets are going to be able to access it. And so notice this is the first file on the baby new client contact. I'm going to go back to my main menu and re-log in as an editor. password of 1. So I'm relogged in. Now if I go back to that contact record, so the idea is that editor has a lower level of access. And I went to the client called baby. Okay, so here it is. So we're back on the contact tab, and that file is no longer there. It's because it's hidden. And if I try to relog in again, so hopefully it'll go a little faster this time, as Joel. And then I go back to contacts. We're going to see that file reappear. Back to the attached tab. And now we see that that script reappear. So that's how you can keep things secret from people that you don't want to see them. So let's go now to the projects module. I've created a project called Media Project. And here we can see that I've got some attachments there because it's got the little red dot. Delete that one. And one more part of this that I want to show you is what if you're attaching files from other computers? So I've got a computer on my network called Uber. I'm going to click on a folder in there. And let's just grab any old file. Let's say it's this one. Let's do this one. So I'm dragging this file from another computer over the network, and I'm attaching it to this record in the database. And if I click it, it's going to play it, but it's going to be playing it from the other computer. So the obvious question is, well, what happens when that file, when that computer is no longer accessible? So I'm going to eject or disconnect from that computer. It's no longer attached. And if I click on it, it's going to say I can't do it. It's going to try to open that file and it can't. So now it's telling us can't be found because the computer is no longer there. So what I'm going to do again is connect to that folder. And this might take a second or two. I'm going to try to navigate away. And that's a good time to show you that there's the detail list of all the attachments and the list view, which is just a compressed view. So now I think, let's see if this will open up. And yep, there we go. So this is a video playing in Studio Suite. But the main point there was to show you that if you've got files that are attached from other computers on your network, you can still access them. And of course, if the computer is not on the network, obviously you can't. And similar to that, when you're doing these links to other files, if the file is moved, obviously that link, that map, that pointer is no longer valid. So don't move the files if you want to maintain the attachment. So let's go to the Media Assets tab. This is a window into the library module, showing all of the library records that are related to this project called Media Project. Obviously, we don't have any, so I'm going to create a new related reel or media asset in the library. And we've got a couple new options here in Studio Suite 10 I want to tell you about. One is if you your company is set up so that you've got multiple companies. Let's say we're working for Fidelity Images today. This media asset will belong to my company called Fidelity Investments or Images. And this will be inherited from the project that you created from, which is another interesting point. Some of our customers are using just the library module, and they don't have it connected to the projects module, which is a better way to do it, because when you create a media asset from a project, it's going to inherit all of that project information, and you don't have to retype it there. So you notice when I'm creating this new media asset in the library module, it is inheriting the client name and the project name. So I'm just going to call this one R1 for reel 1. And I can also say that I'm going to create 3 reels. And it's all set up a library number and a barcode for me. I could also scan in a client's barcode if I had one. And I can also say where this is going. Maybe I'm going right into the Audio 1 room. I can even say what hard drive it's connected to. And we've got some funny data in here. Not, obviously, an Avalon is not a hard drive, but let's pretend that Elise is a hard drive. So I'm going to be putting this on that hard drive. And I'm going to kind of explain both real physical media assets like tapes and DVDs and hard drive functionality kind of at the same time. So I've set this up. I have the option, if I want to put in other detailed information, like formats. Let's say I want to go into, this is a CD. That's going to bring in all the other CD information. I could put in Dolby information, timecode information, frame rate information, what kind of content is, and I can search on this later. This entire tab is optional. I don't have to put that in. And then there's the tracks tab as well. So if I've got, if I'm starting to put, what's on each track, we've got these buttons in here that make it easier to fill things in. So if I've got LFE on track 5, I can do that. Or if track 8 is English, I can. These are just quick entry buttons. So let's say that I've filled in all of the information that I need to here. I've named the first reel R1. I've told it I'm going to create 3. So I'm going to hit done. And it's asking me for the name of the second reel. So I'm going to do R2. And it's advanced the library number in the barcode for me by 1. Notice it's advancing it in 2 ways. One is it's advancing this number, and then it's saying that this is the second reel in this project. This number is always going to be a serial number of all media assets created. This is the serial number of media assets created in this project. And by the way, this little SS, that's a preference that I've got set up in my system, and because we're selling Studio Suite, our prefix is SS for Studio Suite. Yours might be maybe abbreviations of your studio name, and that's optional. You don't have to do it, but it's an option. So I'm going to hit OK on that, and I'm going to name the third one called R3. So here's my 3 reels: R1, R2, and I'm going to properly name this one R3. So let's go to R1, and let's pretend that this is an older style kind of media. It's a videotape. So I'm going to put in some different titles or cuts or clips or cues or scenes or spots or segments or songs, whatever they are. And then one thing that people have noticed is that when you go to the next item, sometimes it's not going to advance the number. What you have to do is click out of this field into the next one for it to do that. If I don't do that and I just click right in the next one, we can see what's happening. It's keeping that 5 there. And the reason that's like that is we've got to do some tricks here to allow you to resort these. Let's say I wanted this one to actually be number 2. That's going to change our sort order here a little bit. This is going to be 8, let's say, or 7. So now when I sort it, it's going to resort. And in order to get that to work properly, there's a trick that we need to do on the entry there. And so to make them entry, as you're doing them, just hit the tab key to get to the next field. And then you're going to see these numbers sequence naturally. So the next thing, and so when we go in there, we have the option to click the Go To button on any one of these. And that brings us into the titles module. And we're now looking at all the titles on this project. And for digital files and so forth, this is not really so relevant. But if you are still needing to track things like composers or publishers, sample names, what talent is on this particular clip or spot or segment, here's a place where you can do that. And you can also put in track sheets if you happen to still be using track sheets. And new in Studio Suite 10 is the disk log functionality. And I'm going to show you that. Well, it's new in the titles module. It's always been in the library module. So I'm going to show you that from the library module shortly. We could also put in lyrics or script elements. We could just paste that right in here. And we also, of course, have the option to use the Attach and FTP tab to attach the script there. If you needed a place to keep track of all the different takes that you're doing, or different locates, or even just a shot log, you can do that from here within Studio Suite as well. Still in titles, we can set up a QC report. So if you're working on a hard drive or a tape or any kind of disk that's got a bunch of different files on it, we can set up a QC report. And just a quick funny story on this one: when I was demoing Studio Suite at a trade show, and there was a bunch of different people standing around, and one of them was a production company, and they had a new employee there. And they had some of their clients with them. And the new employee said, "What's a QC report?" And the president of the company was not very happy to hear his employees say that in front of his clients, because of course he wanted them to think that everything was being checked for quality. Quality control is what QC stands for. Anyway, so here is a QC report, and to create one, we hit New Report, and let's call this my QC report. It seems like my dialogues are the ones that are not working so good. So here comes. I actually finished typing it a bit ago, so I'm going to fix that little spelling. So now I've got a QC report, and I could start typing in some time codes, feet, frames, and descriptions about what's going on, different characters that might be speaking at that point, what the duration of any particular problem is, if it's an audio thing, what channel it's in, how bad it is. This is really bad. If it was in the source, and if it can be fixed, and any other comments that might go along with that. And then there's some other items here. We're conforming it, we're cleaning it, it's a conversion, we have to do pitch correction, other things. And of course, this is editable. So if you have more fields or anything like that that you need to be able to track, you could go into layout mode, bring out some of our user fields. I'm going to put in some other notes here. I could put in a timecode offset if I need to. And then I'm going to give it an overall grade, because I've made this into a now perfect piece of media. Put a timecode in here. So 1, you get the idea, 0, 22, 15, something like that. So we could put a bunch of different time codes, and notice that it does sort by timecode start automatically. So once we've got that all done, I'm just going to actually put another couple lines in here. So it looks like we've got something on the printout. Yada, yada. Print. And so here is a printout of the QC form that you could give to your client and say, look, we've done all this stuff. And those are customizable because they're prints and screens, just like everything else in Studio Suite. So here we are back still at the titles module, which is, again, say a line item of a larger media asset. We've got production notes where you can go in and document anything that you might be doing as far as production or post-production. There's actually a storyboard feature in here as well. Most people don't know. I could start inserting pictures from here. Let's see, here's, well, you get the idea. Here's a picture. So you could start to put together a storyboard, scene description, script elements, what sort order it goes into, real and absolute time codes, different sections and comments about this. And there is a printout of this that prints out like a storyboard. So you can do that within Studio Suite. There's publishing and copyright information. And this is originally set up for song publishing, but you can repurpose it for other kinds of things. When was the request made? When was it received? Do we have a copyright number for it? Publishing company information, any kind of writer's agreement, dates, release dates, if there's an ISRC code associated with it. Who's the licensee for this? Let's say that ABC is the licensee. That's mechanical. If there's an album, what selection, request date. We could even attach a legal agreement. So if we do have a file associated with this, it's going to manage the details of the rules of this. So now I can click on this at any point, and it's going to open it up. And again, that's storing a path. It's kind of like an attachment. Here's our contractual information, any restrictions, any other options, any other things. And we can create as many of these as we need to for this particular title. So we can manage all of that. If you're using samples that you need to manage, we've got a section here to do that. I don't think most of you are, so I'm not going to go into it. We've also got writers and writer agreements. So I've got, here's a drop-down list from contacts module. Let's say Justin Case is one of the writers. We can put his affiliation in here. Any publishing company administration he had set up in his contact file would show up here. We can look at writer share, publishing share, and more details down there. And then there's submissions. So let's say this is a song and you want to submit it to somebody for a movie. How did we send it? FedEx. We sent it to a large company. The composer is Joel. And then other comments. And then if it turns out, so we can keep track of as many of these as we need to. If we need to document that one of these was used, I hit this little button here. That's going to drop it down to the bottom where we can start putting in the license information. We see it down here. So that's more song-oriented stuff. Another one that's kind of originally for songs, but potentially usable for other functionality is keywords. So per title, we can put as many different keywords in here as we want. We can click these checkboxes. These checkboxes are also editable. So if you, some of our customers are corporations and they've got different divisions within them, or maybe different products that they use. So maybe we make toasters. It looks like my dialog boxes are weird. So you can edit the list of standard keywords that you've got so that they're always available as a checkbox option. And then once you even have those checkboxes checked, if you need to go out and manually type in a unique keyword for this title, that's an option as well. So if I go in here, I can put in red toaster and blue toaster. I don't know why I'm doing toasters. So we get the option to manually type things in or check the checkboxes, and the checkboxes are customizable by you. Here's a list of all the titles that we've got in our current set. And titles can have attach an FTP as well. So if we've got maybe a PDF document or other legal agreements or audio files related to this, we can go ahead and attach them here. So I'm going to go back to the library module because that's kind of more of a grand central station. And here are those titles. And I'm going to go over some of the same things we've got available here. So there, we've got a QC report that's available for this title. And it's showing me that because I have them from within the titles. The keywords tab in the library, which is apparent to those couple titles that I've set up, is calculating a summary of all titles on this asset. And then we can do keywords just for the parent asset, R1. We're seeing the child items here. Asset history is showing us all the movements of this. And right now we can see that this record was created on this date and time. But if we start moving this around, which I'm also going to show you, sorry about the phones, everybody. If we see or release these media assets or bring them in, we're going to see the whole history here. And I'll show you that in a bit. And of course, the library has attached an FTP tab. And we can also set up rates. And this is for stock footage. So if you want to put your stock footage or audio files that you need to want to sell or rent to your customers, you can manage the financial aspect of that here. And then, of course, there's reports. So if we wanted to print a label for this particular asset, I could do that. So let's go look at maybe a CD front insert label. Looks kind of like that. Of course, it's customizable, but all of that stuff that I created, typed in a few minutes ago on my project gets set up right here, and we notice it's got a nice barcode and so forth. And I've got some options to do one or more copies of the current asset, which is this reel, SS607-1. Or if I notice I've got 3 found records right now, I created 3 assets. If I want to do 1 copy of each of those, it's giving me a little reminder here. You're going to print 3 labels. And the reason we do that is, notice I've got 465 media assets. And if I, for some reason, had all 465 items found, I wouldn't necessarily want to print 465 labels. So it's just a little cautionary prevention there for you. And when I make those switches, we'll notice that you get some other options. Suppose that you like this, but for this particular one-off reel, you need to be able to create some specific information. So I'm going to click in here, and we've got some buttons that just allow you to quickly put in certain information. And of course, you could type anything else you want to in here. So this is what we call a custom label. It's not quite as fancy. It doesn't have the barcode. It doesn't have the logo or anything like that. But this allows you to just very quickly create a label on the same size paper stock and get a label out of it. And to be able to control where these quick set buttons are pasting the data, use this little doohickey down the bottom. So now I want to put some information on the back, which would be asset comments over here. Asset comments. Guess I haven't used that in a while. Well, we can still type stuff in here. We can copy, paste anything from here over to here. Try that again. There we go. So that's how you get stuff on both the front and the back. So we've got a bunch of different labels, and you do have the ability, again, to pick which logo, which of your company logos you want to put on this particular printout. And there's also an option to use a client logo. So I forget what the client was that I used on this library, but if they had a logo in their contact record, we would see it here and also on their printout. Sometimes they like it when you do that. And we have the option to print with or without barcodes and with or without time codes, and that affects all the labels that you print. There's a bunch of standard labels here, and we've made kind of a decision to not try to keep up with every new media format because they're changing so quickly, and even within one particular format, the label sizes and positions are changing. So we've got some stock items here, and no matter what, you're likely going to have to go in and modify some of them yourself. And to help you out with some of that, we've got some generic like 2x4 labels. Some people are just using those mailing labels on their media assets. And maybe you could also just use VHS face or spine labels on some things. So if you did need to go in and modify them, that's another webinar that Byron did a while ago. But I'll just touch on it briefly. You go into layout mode, click the edit layout mode, edit layout button there, go up here, go to print. Actually, where is it? Go to library. Where is it, everybody? It's supposed to be there. Well, it is here somewhere. Library print menu. Utility, auxiliary, print. Somebody's pulling a trick on me. There are a whole bunch of print layouts here somewhere, but they're hiding from me at the moment. But you would be able to go in and modify those to fit whatever paper stock that you've got, and also your printer, because different printers scale things differently, they position them differently. So even if we had a layout that was tweaked for your particular stock that you've got for your particular label, it might not necessarily work on your printer. So that's why we do provide access to those layouts. And I trust that on your version, or when you're not trying to present a webinar, that you would be able to find those layouts. So let's go over here and talk about the disk log feature. So suppose this is a hard drive, and we want to be able to not do just a file or two at a time like we're doing on the attach and FTP, but we've got a whole hard drive full of stuff, or a folder full of a ton of things that we don't want to have to enter in. So to do that, we go to the disk log tab, and we click on the log directory tab. And new in StuSuite 10 is the ability to pick which kind of metadata that you want to have. So you could do all, but I don't recommend it because it's going to dramatically slow down the capture, the logging of this. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to pick a couple items. So IPTC is some new thing, XMP, EXIF, raw EXIF, because we've got more people using image information in StudioSuite in the disk log. So I'm just going to do timecode begin end and image description. And we'll go ahead and hit OK. And at that point, it's going to ask me to locate a folder. So I'm going to use the same one I always use for these, which is the introducing Final Cut Pro. I'm going to choose that. And it's going to go out and basically take a snapshot. So this is kind of like, if you remember the attach tab, this is doing a whole bunch of stuff in one shot, so it's faster. And then, of course, we can play any of these if we want. So if I want to see this shark swimming, I click on it, and then it asks to confirm. You can also skip this dialog by the way by holding the Shift or Control. So if you're doing a lot of say checking of a bunch of assets, and you don't want to have to hit OK every time. Just try it myself. Yeah, so I just held down Shift and it didn't ask me if I want to do that. So that's how you can quickly launch the file, and it'll launch in whatever the native application is, whether it's Photoshop or Word or Excel or QuickTime, Final Cut, Avid, Pro Tools, Logic, whatever you're using. So it's a really neat way to link those digital assets to either a physical media asset like a tape or a digital asset like a hard drive, like this one here. One thing I didn't show you about that hard drive thing is that when I created the reel, I said it was on this particular hard drive. That drop down list of hard drives came from my equipment inventory. Um, items that are flagged as hard drives. So if I click this go to button, it's going to take me to that hard drive in the equipment inventory. And then if I go to my library hard disk subtab, it's showing me here all of the reels that are on that hard drive. And here are the 3 that I just created. So I'm going to jump right back to it and see, go to the library and get back to right to where I was. So there's my media project. I'm going to hide this. So disk log, we talked about that. Oh, it's capacity. So I'm going to put in 1 gigabyte. And that's going to show me how much information is in this archive and how much is remaining to be available. Oh, right. So I've got to put in 1 GB. So now it's showing me the remaining capacity based on the file size of everything that I've got here. Oh, okay. So, multiple logs. So I did this in the beginning. So let's pretend that this is the list of files that I inherited from a client. And then maybe I'm going to go and add a bunch of different stuff to that. And I'm going to now need to log another thing as the hard drive leaves my facility. So it's asking me, do I want to add another disk log or replace the currently showing one? So I'm going to add it. And this time I'm intentionally going to pick a different folder, like this one here. There's actually a bunch of stuff in there, so this may take another second. But then what I'm going to be able to do is pick which log I want to view. So now I'm viewing log 2 of 2, and it's showing me everything that was in there. Or now I want to go log the first one. So there I am. So also new in StuSuite 10 is the ability to print a disk log, which is great if you want to, give your client a piece of paper or even just a PDF of what was on their hard drive when you got it and what you're sending it back to them with. Okay, so that said, I'm going to go look at the Attach and FTP tab again. And let's say I have created a final deliverable, and I'm going to go into my demo files folder and grab a movie file. Here's one called After Earth. So drag that over there. And now I want to deliver it to my customer using the built-in FTP client information. So I'm going to click on the FTP button, and it's asking me, do you want to upload it? Yes, I do. That brings up our integrated FTP. And I could put in server address, username, and password. And I can also, once I do that, I save it, and it becomes available in my list of favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Microsoft Game Studios and connect. And now this is showing me all of the files that are up on the Microsoft Game Studios FTP delivery site. And of course, this isn't the real one. This is our in-house fake one. So what I want to do is upload this file. Now notice it's already there, so it's going to warn me. Let's pretend that this is a newer edit. So I'm going to hit upload. And it's not warning me. That's interesting. Okay, so I think it's going to give it a different name. I'm not sure why it didn't warn me. It should be warning me to say, hey, it's there. Do you want to replace it? So as this is transferring across, I'll tell the next part of the story, which is that it's going to give me the option to bill this delivery back to the client. So let's say you're charging for your deliveries. It's going to give us that option. On a related note, some people have asked us if we work with other file delivery systems like Aspera or Airship or things like that. And we don't currently. And it's getting to be a bit of a puzzle because as everybody's internet speeds are increasing, it seems that aside from the security perspective, which is obviously important, the need to have other third-party high-speed functionality integration may not be as loud as it used to be. Um, so we're looking at it. We know a bunch of our customers are using different companies. There's File Catalyst and some other ones that are um, being used. So we'd have to kind of pick which one we want. If anybody has any thoughts or opinions on that, I would be very interested to hear what you're all thinking about which one of those that we might want to integrate if we were to do so. So as I said a few minutes ago, it's asking me, do you want to bill this transfer to a project as a billable item? And it's showing me the project number there. If I wanted to pick a different one, I could by clicking the other button, but I'm going to click yes. So this is going to come back, and it's going to go ahead and locate for me our bookable item called FTP upload. It's documenting the start and end time that occurred, and it's putting in a default rate for me. And I could also pick an action if I want to. And if I go over a little bit, I can see that it's also grabbing the information about that. The file name is uploaded on this date and time by Joel to the destination site that we went to. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my project. And here is the FTP upload. And I've got to put in, it's showing me how much time that took. So I probably want to modify that and say, well, it took one unit or something like that. So put that in there. It's going to multiply the time times the price, and we're going to make a whopping $550 because I did 11 for that delivery. And now on my Media Assets tab at the top, I've got a red dot, so I can click on that, and I'm going to go to one of those. Now it's going to jump me back into the library. And this particular item, if I go to my Attach and FTP, it has a red dot, and I can see here all of the information about that. So now let's suppose that these back in have been converted back to physical media assets, and I want to release these out to the client. Currently, these are in. We can see that with the green text in the upper right. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you something else. There's another new feature in Studio Suite 10 that relates to media inventory, that particular module. So let me riff on something here for a little bit. There is a separation between the library module and the media inventory. They're connected, but not completely connected. So people will sometimes say, well, when I create a library record, why is it not creating a project line item for the billable portion of that? And that's because just because you're creating a library record doesn't mean that it's billable. Maybe your client is bringing in media assets to you. There's no charge for that. Or maybe in your particular workflow, there is no charge when you deliver the content, or specifically for the media assets itself. So we don't necessarily, just because you're creating library records in library module, create a billable project line item for that particular kind of media. But we can. So new in Studio Suite 10 is this green button here, Add Media to Project. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. And this is going to find that kind of media right there. And let's say I've got 3 of these that I'm going to add to my project. So we just made it much easier from the library module to be able to add a physical item to the project. And here it is. There's my Maxell CDR. There it is. And I'm going to go back to library, media assets. I keep calling it library because we used to call it library, but now it's the module's called library, but we're looking at media assets. So also I'll mention from this view, we're in projects currently. I can see the status of all of these is in. And I want to go to them, and we'll also notice that because I went to them from the project, it is already found the reels that I want, just the 3. So I don't have to go into find mode and search or get out my barcode scanner or anything like that. This speaks back to the advantage of using the projects module to create your media assets, because that way it's pre-linked and it makes it much easier to find them later. But let's say I want to be able to release these physical, now we're pretending they're physical media assets, back to the client. So all I have to do is click on this status button, and it's noticing that there's more than one record in my system here. Again, sorry for the phones, folks. And so it's asking me if I want to do just the single one or multiple. So I'm going to do multiple because I want to do all of them. And it says make sure you've got the correct found set. I do. I've got 3. So I'm gonna say print and confirm these are the ones. And it's giving me the option here to omit any assets from the group by unchecking the box. So let's say I don't want to release the 3rd one. So I'll do that. So now I'm telling it I'm only going to do the first 2. So I'm going to click the continue button. And it's reminding me 2 assets are about to be released. If this is not correct, click cancel. And we put that in there because people have accidentally tried to release their entire library because they didn't quite know what they were doing. So we just put a little warning in there. So now it's asking me who authorized this release, who released it, who took it, how did we ship it. If there's a tracking number, I could go ahead and put that in there. The date, the time, and also I can type in who we sent it to. I've also got a button there to be able to click in, the address of the person and any other notes that go along with it. Hi there. So I'll click done, and this is going to create a library item release form for me with all of the information about these assets. So it's got all the correctly spelled client and project information, library number, barcode, all of the titles that I put in there, and time codes, had I put those in there. And then down the bottom, there's a signature area. There's my hi there note, where we can specify that we want to release, that we got approval, and we're hereby released from responsibility for these media assets. So click continue. And notice I'm canceling this out, and it just clarifying that even though we canceled the printout, the assets are still marked out. So when we hit cancel on the print, we're not canceling the release, we're just canceling the print. Some people have gotten confused there. So now we'll see that it's out. And if I go look at my asset history, I'll see that it's logging all of that for me. It's been checked out with a note of hi there on this date and time by Allen Assistants, taken by this person, shipped via FedEx. And we've even got a neat little trick in here to be able to recall the batch of items that was shipped out with it. And when I hover over that, it's showing me the real numbers that was shipped out. And if I want to reprint that, I can. And now I want to track the package. So I click on that. This is going to open up a window. And of course, that's a fake tracking number. But if it were a real tracking number, it would show me where that package is right now, right within Studio Suite. So we think that's pretty neat. So we've just done electronic delivery using the FTP tab within Studio Suite. And we've done a physical delivery using FedEx with tracking. And I'm going to go back into the detail. And then from here, I'm going to jump to the project. Here's my project. I'm going to go to my Media Assets tab. And from here, we'll see that those first 2 items are checked out, and the bottom one is checked in. I'll mention here the yellow highlight. That's because it lets me see additional information about the reel down here at the bottom just by clicking on it without having to go to it or change my screen. Maybe you're just looking for a certain title from the project window. You want to be able to see them all. Let's see. So we did media assets. We did that. Let's go look at the media inventory module. I'm not seeing any questions. If we're coming near the end, so if you have questions, now would be a good time. So let's go to the media inventory module. And by the way, I can see here that I'm below stock on 2 of them. Actually, let me do a little diversion. Before we get into media inventory, I want to show you some preferences about media. So I'm going to go into the setup area. And then I'm going to go to module preferences, and then I'm going to go to media inventory. So this is where we've got some options. When we are adding media inventory to a project, some of our customers want to very precisely manage how much media they've got in their locker, how much blank stock. And other ones don't. They just like, no, we walk in there, and when we see it's getting low, we order some more. But if you're a place that really wants to keep very fine track of it, you would check this checkbox. And what that means is that the raw stock inventory system is working on a reservation basis, because you might need 10 digibetas on Monday, even though I'm scheduling it today. So therefore, we're going to make a reservation of those 10. And then when we go about executing the project on Monday, maybe it'll turn out that we only need 9 or 8, or maybe we need 11 or 12. And so by going through the reconciliation process, that's where we tell the media inventory module that even though we reserved 10, we're only using 8. And therefore, it's only going to withdraw 8 out of the inventory. Or if we say 12, it'll withdraw 12. And the moment that it does that is when you try to make an invoice. That's where it needs to reconcile that information. And we have an option now to automatically reconcile, which means that if you um, it's just going to automatically pull out whatever you said instead of asking you. So it just kind of depends on your workflow, which method you prefer for that. More and more, our customers are saying, no, we don't reconcile it. But if you are, do that. If you want it to flow automatically, do that. If you want to be reminded every time you make an invoice to check your media inventory, then don't check this. And then for media inventory, if you want to add those to projects using a barcode, you have an option to pick either the UPC code, which is probably the best answer, or the record number, which is how it used to be in very old versions of Studio Suite. So we still have that as a preference. While we're here in the setup area, I also want to go into the library module preferences. And you may, if you're listening, recall earlier that I put in a SS, or I had a SS prefix on my library numbers. To me, that stands for Studio Suite, but you might want to put in your abbreviation for your facility. And you can also put in a suffix too. So I think I've got somebody from an Air Force base in the audience today, so I'm going to put AFB, something like that. So that would appear as a suffix to the end of any library number. When we are creating records in the library, there's a default to say where they come from, because sometimes they call it stock, sometimes they call it from inventory, sometimes they call it vault. And so this just sets up whatever your lingo is, so you don't have to change it every time. Some other preferences: do we always want to generate a barcode from the library number? Yes or no. Do we always want to print the barcode? Yes or no. Do we always want to print a time code? Yes or no. Of course, these are just defaults, and you can change that per reel as needed. And then your default timecode format, and then how you're calculating running times of the titles. So whether that is going to be a summary of individual title durations, or a timecode difference between the first title and the last one. And maybe I should explain that a little bit better. Okay, so before we jump into media inventory module, I'm just going to explain that last bit because it's a little confusing. So I'm going to go to my reel. We're in the library. And the question was, how are we going to calculate the duration? So the default is a summary of individual durations. So if I put in some time code here starting at 01, and I'm going to say it ends at 0120, we're going to see that this duration there is calculating as a summary of all of the time. Actually, I should be seeing it here as well. Black is the calculated. What if I just need to go away and come back here? Okay, I'm expecting to see a 20 there, and I'm not, so I would have to dig in and see why. Maybe that's here. Yes. I'm going to just copy that timecode format to all of them. Go back to here. There we go. So the reason that wasn't calculating is because these titles did not know their timecode format. And in order to calculate a duration, you need to know what your timecode format is. So the other thing I could do is, if I were to put in on my last title here, it starts there, and this one ends at 0159. This should now be generating the duration. Oh, maybe I actually do just need to go back. It should be generating the duration of this as the first start point and the last end point of everything on my reel. So I think that's where we go there. Oh, that's a summary, and here's the timecode difference. So there we go. Yay, it's working. So here's a 59 minutes running time from between 1 hour as the earliest point and 1 hour and 59 minutes. Or if I do it as a summary of all of them, then we get 2 hours and 19 minutes because that's an hour and 59 minutes plus 20 minutes. That was a lot of words for something that should be simple. Okay, so finally now we're going to go over to the media inventory. I can either go to the main menu and do that, or because we're in library, that seems like a common place I might want to go, so I'm going to do it from here, media inventory. And let's go to our list view. And here is a list of our media inventory. And the yellow ones are ones that we're below inventory on. And I can see that because there's a minimum quantity right here. For these 90-minute digibetas, I always want to have 100 in stock. I've only got 98 in stock. So therefore, I'm below my inventory. I want to point out here on these Maxell CDRs, I've got 34 in stock, but 4 are reserved. And so that's what I was talking about a bit ago. They haven't been withdrawn from the inventory yet, but they're on a project for future use. So let's go into a detail tab and take a look at some of our options here. So brands, this is an editable list. You can put your own in there. The size, also an editable list. We've got all kinds of different sizes in there. The format, another editable list. And that's going to generate a full description based on the brand size and format. And then there's also this media code field. And this field right here is what gets used over in the library module to be able to quickly enter what kind of media you're using in the library. So it's what appears in the drop-down list. So when I click right here, what I'm getting is a drop-down list based on that media type. So it is important to populate that media inventory type field if that's a big part of your workflow. And here is that UPC barcode that we would scan in there if we wanted to. I'll comment that media inventory does need to be bookable because you are booking it. And you may also want to have rates for it as well. Because in order to have a rate for something, you do need to have it be bookable. And we're just a couple minutes over our allotted time today. Bear with me, we're almost finished. So we could put in some notes here. It's giving us a breakout of the quantity in stock available for use, minimum alert, typical order quantity. I usually get 50 of these. And then I could also document that I've got 50 on order. And then some people have asked, how do you, when you get that order in, put that into Studio Suite? There's not a special order entry screen or anything like that. Let's say we did get those 50 in, I would just have to manually change this to be 87 in stock, and then I would remove this. We thought it's so simple just to do it that way. Why make it complicated with more screens? We have enough of those. So down here, there's vendors, the different companies that we might buy this stock from. So here I've got a drop-down list of different companies that I would buy it from. And I can also put in some default rates, prices for this. So if I have to pay this guy $10 for this item, and I only have to pay this guy $9 for this item, I'm going to do it with the cheaper guy, of course. So let's get a company here. And then we do have an option to create a purchase order right from here. And so that's going to take my minimum quantity, set it up to Boots Entertainment as the PO addressee, and put in some CDRs on that. And then let's look at the rates tab. This is basic normal rates screen. One little note about creating rates for media inventory is that the unit of measure should be one time or each, one or the other. You get those options. Don't do by the hour or by the day because you don't schedule those things, and that would be a weird number if you did. So I think we have covered everything on the agenda for today. Let me just pause for a moment and think. I think that's it. I think you all get the idea that in equipment we can have attachments to be able to attach maybe a PDF manual. So I'm in equipment, attach tab. I want to look at the manual. Boom, there it is. So we call that a media asset, even though it's not, audio or video or something like that. I'm not seeing any questions. Going once, going twice. Give me a question. I think that means we are good for today. Again, we do webinars most Thursdays, but we're going to take a brief pause on the next few Thursdays as we get ready for NAB and then do NAB and then recover from it. So stand by for an email, and you can also check our website for future scheduled webinars and also for our existing ones. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.